back to Mixing with Robin. Today we are going to make some homemade red enchilada sauce that can be used for many things other than enchiladas. So I wanted to remind you, this is what we're going to be using. Hot, because you know that's how I roll, hot. But you can get it in mild or a medium. And it is the Bueno Red Chili. So it's just straight up dried chili that has been pureed and turned into chili, but there's no seasonings in it. So get yourself a good sized pot, put in 2 tablespoons of shortening into your pot. I have the pot on about medium. So once you get your shortening in there, just let that melt really good to where you just see clear liquid. So now if you can see, you probably can't even see it because the oil has melted, the shortening. And I like using shortening as opposed to oil. Then you're gonna take and you're gonna mix in, I start with kind of a heaping tablespoon of flour. And I can tell by looking at it, it's going to need 2 heaping tablespoons. Get your whisk and then just start whisking. You're going to make like a little bit of a, what I call a roux. So let it cook for just a minute. I don't like to put chopped garlic in here, so I use garlic powder because when you put chopped garlic in, it has a tendency to burn in here if you leave it in for very long. So I like using the garlic powders. So just put in and let that melt down. And if you still have more oil looking and not so much thickening going on, add a little bit less than a tablespoon of flour. So that would put you at almost 3 tablespoons of flour in here to the 2 tablespoons of Crisco shortening that you put in. So once you do this, here's a trick that I learned a long time ago when you're making enchilada sauce. I like to put hot water in. So once this starts to thicken a little bit, and I'll show you what that looks like, then you're going to start adding in the red enchilada sauce. And I just kind of pour it all in at once and let it thicken. And it is starting to thicken up. You can see like around the edges and stuff. So this is what's going to make your enchilada sauce thicker and a little bit creamier. So into this, you can kind of hear that sizzling. Now, instead of taking it down even further and making this cold, I will kick this up a notch on the stove, the heat up a notch, and let that kind of simmer with your thickening that you have in there. So fill that up the same amount that you took out in the liquid. And as this thickens, you'll know how much you're gonna have to have in here. And just keep stirring and just make sure you don't have it so high that it's sticking on the bottom of your pot. But it will thicken and it will become your homemade enchilada sauce. And there is nothing better. It is the best stuff. And then you season it with a little bit, I would say a 4th teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, or maybe even 2 teaspoons, because garlic powder is not going to make it salty. It's just going to give it a good garlic flavor. And then salt it with garlic salt, not salt. And do that absolutely to taste. So now it's just starting. You can see up around the top up there and the bottom starting to thicken. So your paste that you made with the Crisco and the flour is now thickening. So we're going to let this finish cooking. And then when we get ready, I'm going to show you how to cook your corn tortillas and show you how we're going to do our stacked enchiladas. And we'll be back.